Nearly 40% of all the solid waste in landfills in this nation comes from construction sites. I'm doing my small part of keeping material out of the landfill by crafting with recycled materials. Today I'm going to share with you one of my favorite projects, which is crafting with scrap wood. This is actually a piece of wood that came from a fence project a friend of mine gave me. For our project today, we're going to need a piece of wood. We're going to need a stencil, 2 colors of flat paint, some craft paint, a couple of paint brushes, a big one, a small one. We're going to need some spray-on tack or some painter's tape, a sanding sponge, a little paper plate, a sponge. This is a makeup sponge. I get them at the dollar store. Some soft wax, a soft cloth, a soft tooth hanger, and a hammer. So we're going to start with our board, and I'm going to start with some white paint, and we're going to paint that on there, get a good coat. Doesn't have to be too tidy, just cover it well. When we're done, our board is going to look like this. Now we're going to take our next color. I'm using this nice duck egg blue. We're going to cover this board good. Might take 2 coats of this. Now our board looks like this. Now we're going to take our stencil, and I'm going to use some spray adhesive on this. Let it dry just a little bit. Then we're going to stencil. We're going to center our stencil on the board. You could use painter's tape to hold this on, but I like the spray adhesive. Now we're going to take a little bit of our craft paint. We're going to dab it on our paper plate here. Take the makeup sponge, dab it in the paint, and now dab it on the side. We want to get some of the excess off. And then we're going to dab our paint on our stencil. We're going to do, it's going to take a couple of coats. You don't want to get the paint too heavy or it could bleed underneath the stencil. So now when you've got your stencil covered, it's going to look like this. Now we're going to very carefully peel our stencil off. And our sign is almost done, but you can see we've got some gaps here. So now we're going to take our little detail brush and a little bit of paint, and we're going to cover up these gaps. You don't have to do this, but I just think it looks nicer. It makes it look a little bit more professional. Now our sign looks like this. I like to have mine looking a little bit distressed. So we're going to take some sandpaper or sanding block, and I like to sand the corners and the edges. So we want it to look like how it would look if it had worn over time, antique it a little bit. Then I'm going to take a couple of passes on the top. Now our sign looks like this. Okay, all we have to do now is to finish it. I'm going to use some soft wax. I like the wax because it brings out the colors very nicely. You could use a polyurethane if you want to have it outside. So I'm going to take a little wax, spread it on there good, let it dry. Then we're going to give it a nice buff. And we're going to finish it with our sawtooth hanger, a couple of taps with a hammer, and we're done. Now you've got a beautiful piece of artwork. You've done your part of helping to keep materials out of the landfill. So I talked to you about the materials that we need to make this sign, the process to complete it, and how to finish it.